Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the last talk on groundwater for catchment care this morning. We've seen two great presentations. So what I want to do this morning is show how we communicate the role of groundwater in catchment management better. We've all worked on lots of projects and produced lots of reports, but we've never been able to really get the evidence over to the general public in the way that I thought we should do. And as I said, we've all worked on lots of projects, we've all produced lots of reports. Fortunately, this is not my office, but I've worked in places where we have produced reports in the number that these are. So in addition to producing lots of reports in the past and in the present, we also work with people and we work with key advisors to communicate the role of groundwater in catchment management. And here on the left, it's working with local advisors and on the island of Ireland, working with farmers directly and trying to communicate how groundwater works in the right way. I've also worked in other parts of the world and working with vets, and this is the one on the right in South America, working with a local vet and getting the vet to communicate some of our ideas over and gain trust in the public. So working with local trusted people has been successful, but it's always been difficult to put the information in the right format. And again, we've used large shows, large agricultural shows, and one on the left again is one from many moons ago. And we've used local events, the one on the right is in a local pub, and you can see there's no Guinness being drunk there, so it's nice and relaxed and friendly atmosphere working with farmers and talking about how their activities on the surface impacts on groundwater. And these events are really good events to actually break down any fear or any way of non-trust. But using these events and using the reports, we've never really been able to communicate across in a way that we really needed to. And as a great Eric Morecambe once said, I always think that, we're playing all the right notes, but we're not necessarily in the right order. So as part of catchment care, we wanted to develop a way of getting the message out to the people in a better format. So hence the groundwater visualization project, and we wanted to take all of the above that I've just spoke about and be cleverer and more creative with, get into a format that people can absorb and understand easily. So we're using a XR communication approach, and don't get bogged down too much in the technical detail here, but basically we're using a virtual reality application where we can take people virtually into the environment and we can see how groundwater works. We can take people down groundwater borers virtually and see how wells respond to different activities. We're going to back that up with an augmented reality application that people can use, where people can use iPads, etc. And we can use this in the classroom, both during class exploration, presentation, teaching and learning, and it can be used solo as well. So the virtual reality application, you can see on the right, where we actually immerse people in underground, and that you can actually believe that you're actually there. And again, like I said, we're going to use Oculus headsets on this, and we're purchasing some of these for different events. And we will attend different agricultural shows, and people can wear these, and we can actually get them to understand the role of groundwater better. And this can be done in solo class mode, as I said earlier. So then the AR approach, the augmented reality approach, is just basically it's looking at through iPads and various different other teaching mediums to present this stuff in a more understandable way. And we want to use this through a modular learning, so people can be able to choose and pick whichever modular or groundwater story they want to understand better. And here's what the module's like, and we will talk people through rainfall, overland flow, groundwater levels and springs, and course and conduits and caverns and caves. And I'll demonstrate the cost, one which we've made some progress on later. So people can understand the story of groundwater, and they can tap into different actual processes in groundwater. And again, this is what it's going to look like on screen. So these are the animations that we started to develop, and this is again limestone, how limestone forms, and I'll show you a video at the end. But basically, it's a way of telling the story of groundwater, and it's easily understandable for all age groups to comprehend. And we will focus on other parts of Ireland as well, but the Arnie, the Finn, and the Blackwater are our focus areas, and we want to tailor this methodology for those particular areas. So I'll just add what I've said previously. I'd just like to show you a video of what we've done so far on the course module. And this is draft. It's work in progress, but I hope you're as excited as I am to see it. So here goes.
Question: how did this ancient creature, this ancient coral, and this ancient plant turn into this limestone? Limestone is a type of bedrock. That's the name we give to the hard, solid rock which is found beneath the ground. There are many different types of bedrock found all around the world. Here are the types that make up the island of Ireland. Each colour shown is a different type of bedrock: granite, basalt, chalk, shale, sandstone. Notice the blue areas cover a large part of Ireland. This is where limestone is found. Limestone makes up almost half of the island of Ireland's bedrock, and it's one of the main reasons for the many interesting features found in the Irish landscape. How and when did limestone become such an important bedrock for the island of Ireland? Around 1 million years ago, Ireland was covered by a warm, shallow, tropical sea full of life. Limestone is a sedimentary rock. That means it's made from the skeletal remains of sea creatures, shells and corals, which once filled the oceans. For millions of years, the dead remains of these creatures fell to the seabed and mixed with other organic matter, building up in layers. Over time, and under great pressure, these layers slowly compressed together to become limestone bedrock. As sea levels slowly lowered, limestone began to shape the modern landscapes of Ireland. The layers in limestone are called beds, and the gaps in between are called bedding planes. Vertical cracks in them are known as joints. Spaces along the joints and cracks allow water to pass through, helping to make limestone a permeable rock. Permeable means it lets water in. As rain falls through the atmosphere, it collects carbon dioxide, CO2. It gathers even more carbon dioxide as it drains through soil and decaying vegetation. When water and carbon dioxide mix together, the water becomes a weak carbonic acid. This now acidic groundwater seeps into the cracks and gaps found in the limestone bedrock and begins to dissolve the calcium carbonate from the inside. When weak acid rain falls onto a limestone landscape, the rainwater sinks into the soil to become groundwater. The underlying bedrock begins to slowly dissolve, as acidic groundwater finds its way into hairline fractures in the bedrock. As the bedrock slowly dissolves and is washed away as calcium bicarbonate, small fractures become enlarged and small underground cavities appear. Shallow dips and depressions begin to form at the ground surface. These are called sinkholes or dolines. After many decades of dissolving, the underlying bedrock weakens and can no longer support the weight of the ground above. The underlying structure collapses, and the depressions in the ground above suddenly give way. This is a rare example of a bedrock collapse doline. The often funnel-shaped hole makes it easier for surface water to run off directly into the underlying bedrock. Percolating groundwater now flows downwards through the existing cavities, further weathering the limestone. As it does so, an extensive drainage system begins to form underground.
Well, thanks everybody for listening so far. I think that's an example of the cost module and what we've done so far. And it's a big thank you from the groundwater team and for listening to the 3 presentations this morning.